Ever walk through your garden and spot that kind of fuzzy white stuff on your plants?
Yeah.
Yeah, not just a backyard bummer, is it? That's our enemy today, white mold.
And it's been around for ages.
Oh yeah, gardeners and farmers, they've been battling this fungus for a long time. And today, we're going to deep dive into how they're fighting back, especially with some seriously cool tech.
Definitely not just a few wilted leaves we're talking about here, right?
Right. This is serious business for farmers.
This fungus, it's got a name that'll make you glad we're sticking with white mold, by the way.
Oh, is this a mouthful?
Sclerotiorum, see what I mean?
Yeah, I think we'll stick with white mold. But anyway, it's a huge problem for, well, how many plants does it affect?
Over 400 species. It's not picky.
400. I knew it got around, but that's way more than just my tomatoes. What makes it such a tough opponent for farmers? Even the pros. They've got all the tricks, right?
It's got a secret weapon. These things, they're called sclerotia.
Sclerotia.
Yeah, imagine like tiny poppy seeds, but instead of being fragile, they're rock hard and they can survive in the soil for years, like little fungal bunkers, just waiting for the perfect time to attack.
So even if you rotate your crops, which works for a lot of plant diseases, this one, it's just biding its time.
Exactly. You can't see it, can't really get rid of it easily. How's a farmer supposed to stand a chance?
That's what I'm wondering. It's like a hidden enemy.
Well, think of it this way. Those sclerotia, when the weather's just right, kind of warm and damp, they sprout these little stalks.
Okay, so far I'm picturing it. Little stalks.
Mm.
Then what? What are these stalks called?
Apophysetia, but don't worry too much about that. Point is, they release these spores.
Spores, like fungal seeds.
Exactly. Microscopic fungal seeds floating through the air, looking for their next victim. They land on a plant and bam, infection.
And by the time you actually see that white mold, it's already taken over.
Oh, it's having a party in your field by then. A full-blown fungal party.
Talk about a stealthy attack.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder it's so hard to get rid of. This is where I'm guessing today's topic, Farmonaut, comes in.
You got it.
I've heard they're using some seriously space-age technology to, fight this invisible enemy.
That's putting it lightly. They're using satellites.
Satellites to look at my tomatoes.
Not just at them, they're monitoring for the very first signs of white mold, changes you or I would never see with the naked eye.
And they're doing this every day.
Every single day. So instead of playing catch-up, farmers are ahead of the game.
That's amazing. But what good is all that data if you don't know what to do with it? And that's where their custom recommendations come in, right?
Exactly. They take that satellite data and turn it into actionable advice. It's like a personalized game plan for each farmer, so they know exactly where to focus their efforts.
So it's not just about saving the crops, it's about saving money, too.
Precisely. Even a small loss to white mold can really hurt a farmer's bottom line. Farmonaut helps minimize those losses.
So it's not just throwing tech at the problem. It's about making farming smarter and more effective.
You got it. Farmonaut gets that even the coolest technology is useless without the farmer's expertise. That's why they believe in combining high tech with those tried and true farming practices. The ones that have worked for generations.
So using the best of both worlds, I like that.
Yeah.
So we're talking about things like choosing plant varieties that are naturally resistant to white mold, right? And improving drainage in the field so it's not so damp and inviting for that fungus. And of course, smart crop rotation, keep those sneaky sclerotia guessing.
Exactly. It's all about making life difficult for the fungus.
But how does Farmonaut's approach compare to, the more traditional ways of detecting white mold? What are farmers using now if they aren't using Farmonaut?
Oh, it's night and day, honestly. I think our source material had this really interesting table, actually, comparing the two.
Oh, yeah. What did it say?
Well, with the traditional methods, you're basically walking the fields, right? Visually
Yeah.
inspecting each plant.
Okay, boots on the ground.
Yeah, but that means you're limited in how much ground you can cover. And by the time you see something, it might be too late.
You're already in trouble. Whereas Farmonaut's satellite eyes in the sky, they're constantly scanning, catching those subtle changes early on
That's the key.
before it becomes a 5-alarm fungal fire. Love it. But let's be honest, even with the best tools, farmers are still up against it with this white mold, right?
Oh, yeah, it's a tough one, for sure.
So what does the future hold? Are we, ever going to be rid of this pesky fungus? Or is it always going to be this back and forth?
Well, that's what makes this so interesting. I mean, what we're seeing now with Farmonaut, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Researchers are working on even better, more sustainable solutions all the time.
Okay, now you've got to paint me a picture. What's on the horizon? What are we talking about here?
Imagine crops that are, bred to be resistant to white mold.
Genetically.
Yeah. so we can finally say goodbye to fungicides.
Now, that would be a game changer.
Or how about using natural predators to fight the fungus,
Mm.
like beneficial fungi or bacteria that can keep the harmful ones in check?
So it's like a microscopic battle happening in the soil.
It's incredible. The more we learn about this hidden world, the more we realize we can work with nature to find solutions, not just against it.
I bet our listeners are loving this. I mean, a whole world we can't even see battling it out under our feet. That's wild.
It really is. And this biocontrol idea, that's super promising.
Biocontrol. Using nature to fight nature. Tell me more.
Oh.
What's that all about?
So we're talking about introducing beneficial organisms into the soil, right? To fight off the bad guys, sort of like releasing ladybugs into your garden to get rid of aphids, except on a much tinier scale.
So farmers get a whole army of microscopic allies.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing.
That's wild. But this stuff, the biocontrol, breeding-resistant crops, this takes time, right? What about right now? Are farmers already seeing benefits from tech like Farmonaut?
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about significantly reducing how much disease they see, which means bigger harvests and more money in their pockets.
That's huge.
Plus, because they're catching those early warning signs, they can use fungicides way more strategically.
So less spraying, healthier crops, and more money in their pockets. Sounds like a win-win-win to me.
Well,
and for anyone listening who's thinking, oh, here comes a robot farmer, not so fast.
not at all. This isn't about replacing farmers. It's about giving them better tools.
Empowering them.
Exactly. It's data-driven decisions, but with that human touch that's always been at the heart of farming.
I like it. Data-driven decisions, sustainable practices. It's like we're on the edge of something big here, a real agricultural revolution.
I think so. And it's not just about white mold. This is bigger than that. Think of the possibilities. What else could we do?
Whoa, now you're getting me thinking. What other, invisible problems could we be going after with this kind of technology? So we've been, down in the dirt looking at this fungus, but what about bigger picture stuff? Could you use this tech to, say, spot outbreaks in cities?
Oh, absolutely. We're already seeing that.
Wow, really?
Yeah, think about tracking air quality, seeing how diseases spread, even predicting natural disasters.
Now that's some next level stuff. It's like we're giving superpowers not just to farmers, but to, entire cities, maybe even the planet.
It's all about using the tools we have in new ways, thinking outside the box.
And to our listeners out there, if this is what tackling an invisible enemy looks like, what other problems are we overlooking? What are the hidden challenges you face in your own lives or work? What needs a fresh perspective?
Because that's what I really hope you take away from this deep dive, that sense of possibility. We often think about technology and nature as separate things.
Yeah, like they're at odds or something.
Exactly. But what if the real breakthroughs come from bringing them together?
Data protecting our crops, our cities, our planet. It's like that old saying, knowledge is power, but on a whole new level.
Absolutely. And you know me, like any good scientist, I have to say, the more we learn, the more we realize just how much more there is to discover.
Which is a perfect place for us to wrap up today's deep dive.
It really is.
We've gone from those fuzzy white patches in your garden to the cutting edge of agricultural technology and beyond.
All thanks to your curiosity and some fascinating research.
And to our listeners, keep those brains buzzing, keep those questions coming, because even the smallest discoveries can lead to the biggest breakthroughs. Until next time, happy learning.
It's been a pleasure.